So thank you, thank you, thank you. For anyone who doesn't know Jess, you need to know her. She is an e-commerce and retail expert for lots of different reasons. And one of the things you could do is go and listen to the Jess McDonald podcast that I did for She's the Boss Chat. But in the meantime, my name is Jules Brooke. I am the founder of She's the Boss Group, and She's the Boss Live is a live stream show that I decided to start to shine a light on all the wonderful female founders and women doing extraordinary things in business. And let me tell you, Jess, you totally fit that mold as far as I'm concerned. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Jules. It's lovely to be here. And thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you today.
Yes,
Yeah.
my
I'm
absolute
doing
pleasure.
live.
Yeah, we will. So what I want to do first is get you to explain to people, what is the name of your business? What do you do?
Well, I wear a few different hats. My main thing that I do is I am the founder of Agents of Innovation. And Agents of
Right.
Innovation is a boutique consultancy that partners with business owners and founders to help build and strategize and scale their retail or e-commerce businesses. I
Right.
particularly love working with product-based businesses who are ready to take the leap from side hustle or just, small business to really taking it to the next level. So, strategy, scaling, marketing, branding, sales, they're the things that I love working on with business founders and owners. I also run my own retail business, which is called
Yep.
High Teas, which is an ethical fashion social enterprise. And that's a place where I get to be creative and draw. I've actually got one of my t-shirts on today. There we go.
I can't believe I'm not wearing one of yours as well, because we partnered for She's the Boss Group. So you've done some amazing t-shirts for us for that as well. But
Yeah, the High Teas gives me an opportunity to be really creative, flex a lot of the retail muscles that I have, and to also experiment with some strategies, which then helps inform my clients in Agents of Innovation. And then on top of that, I'm also the director of my family's investment company. So I get the opportunity to then work
straddle
with,
both sides.
yeah, to
Yeah.
straddle both sides and to see in interesting innovations and businesses that are scaling, and particularly scaling rapidly and looking for funding, and hearing a lot of really interesting pitches and so forth. So I have quite a sort of a broad spectrum of
You do.
experience and networks, which I love. And yeah, I live and breathe business. I love business, and I love seeing businesses grow and develop and do really interesting things. So yeah, that's me.
Well, I'm totally with you. And for anyone who's watching, we've got a funny backstory in that I met Jess at a women's event. I think it was one that I wasn't running for once,
Yeah.
and a local one. And we met and got on really well. And I said, "Oh my God, we must catch up." And she said, "You live across the road from me." And I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, she means somewhere on my street or in my area." But no, Jess actually lived literally across the road from me, and I hadn't met her.
Yeah, we
And
both had pink hair at the time. Yeah.
anyway, it's such a great story, and I'm so glad we've become friends since then. And I
Me too.
absolutely love what you do, and I understand why you like products, because I do too. But talk to me a little bit about your purpose, the story behind why you have set up your businesses,
Yeah.
and how maybe they fit together.
Yeah, well, I started in retail like most do back in the teenage years. It's usually for most people their first job is either in retail or hospitality, or
Yeah.
even like something like babysitting. It's like some sort of service based. And I started at Baker's Delight, and I loved customer service. I love talking to people. I love engaging with people and building rapport and relationships, and having those really fun momentary interactions with people.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not really one for networking. Like, I don't particularly like, I'm a little bit shy on that side, but put me on a shop floor with a product and I can talk to anyone. And I really enjoy that, right? It's a
Yeah.
funny thing. But I think I had a long career with Lush, and what
So
the
just,
one thing.
well, we'll just explain for anyone that doesn't know, Lush is the natural cosmetic skincare brand kind of products, isn't it?
Yeah, so they're Lush Fresh Handmade Cosmetics. It's a British cosmetics brand that's all over the world. They have shops all over Australia and New Zealand and Japan and North America and all the way through Europe. And I was very fortunate enough to work for them on and off for about 15 years. And I think the thing that I very much came away with my experience from Lush was impactful business. So businesses that at their core are not only making a profit and financially successful, but they also have a social cause on top of that. And that really tapped into my value system, and I really loved working. I found it was an authentic experience to then talk about the product, because it's like, this is what this product is, this is where it comes from, this is
Yeah.
how it's made, this is who's made it, this is why it's great, and it just didn't feel like I was having to do a hard sale, because
Yeah.
there were so many amazing social and value-based aspects to the products and the business that I felt very proud of being a part of. So I suppose when I started creating my own businesses, I've always wanted to work for myself. My dad was an entrepreneur, and I think I got his entrepreneurial spirit from there. Is that for me, it also, I had to have that part of me needed to be satisfied, in that it
Yeah.
had to have an impact beyond just making money. And so, yeah, so that's why with High Teas, for example, my t-shirt business, that is a social enterprise. I donate over 50% of my profits to causes I care about. And
Can I
with
just ask though, before we move on to Agents of Innovation, with High Teas, was there something that happened that made you go, I'm going to start this? I mean, why teas, why t-shirts, why using your own art? I love all the impact behind, and I just have to
yeah,
tell everyone who's listening about your STEMinist t-shirt, which I
yeah.
particularly love. But what was there something that made you decide that you were going to go out on your own rather than just consult?
Well, interestingly, I started Agents of Innovation first.
Oh, okay. So
So
what prompted that then?
yeah, well, where my last role that I had with Lush was in Japan,
Yep.
and over the last few years with my role in Lush, I was very much working as a change manager and a leadership and development manager for senior teams. So I was working with the Japanese senior team about implementing a very, very large business-wide change management project. And so a lot of my role at the time was mentoring and coaching and guiding the business to change their sales, but also to change a lot of their systems and processes around staff engagement, management, HR processes, and leadership development. So for me, with Lush, a lot of my job was going into the business, analyzing what was going on, trying to find the opportunities for change, and shifting and making strategic decisions to shift the business into a positive sales
And
environment.
let's just say this is 450 stores. This is not 45 stores. This was a massive project for you to run.
Yeah, it was big and very challenging on one side, extremely rewarding on another. I don't speak Japanese. The Japanese team were amazing. I learnt a lot. I think
Yeah,
one of the big things I learnt, because I tend to make a decision and do, and I
I
keep the
can
ball
relate.
rolling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I learned from the Japanese team was to slow down a little, and when you do something, you do it to the absolute best of your ability. And as in, I'm a bit like, nah, just do it, let's keep going. It's about building momentum. So it was good. I learned a lot of really new skills, but it also made me really test a lot of my skills on how they worked with a different culture and a different environment
Yeah.
and a different size business and so forth. So when I finished with Lush, I really felt that was my very key strength and also point of difference,
Yeah.
was, really being able to analyze and see opportunities and challenges within businesses, and then creating interesting solutions to those problems.
Okay.
Hence why I started of Agents of Innovation. I am an agent of innovation.
Yes,
It's
you
not just
are.
a fancy name. Is about taking what is already there and innovating it to create a different outcome.
Right.
Um, and and I love doing that. I love problem solving. I
And
love
what sort of
debating.
businesses do you work with in that particular business?
Yeah, so interestingly, this hasn't been like a choice. I haven't gone, right, I'm only going to service this
Retail.
type of customers, but I mainly work with female-run businesses.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with that. I love working with women. I mainly work with female-run businesses that are product-based. I do work with some people who are service-based, and they're really at that stage where they might be on their own, or they might have a very small team, but they're really at capacity, and they really need to go to the next level, but they're not really quite sure how to do that, or what level investment they need to do, or where they should put that investment in.
And this is exactly the point where many businesses fail, isn't it? I mean, they say 97% of small businesses fail after the first 3 years. It's often because they've been growing like this and suddenly they grow like that and they just cannot manage that growth. And then
Yeah,
we
and
have all sorts of issues around cash flow, around staffing, and all sorts of things in that. So having an expert sort of in your
yeah.
pocket.
And I think also, I've been a founder of a business as well, and just coming to that point of being able to work with someone, like, for example, yourself, Jules, you do a lot of mentoring for businesses as well,
Yeah.
where it's finding the space as the founder of that business to be able to be self-reflective of what strengths you bring into the business and what you need to hand over.
Yes.
So when businesses usually get to that point where it's like, oh, I'm ready for the next stage, so many founders just go, I'll do it all. I'll do it all. I'll do it all. And it's like, actually, this is the time when you need to bring in those gaps in your expertise, be comfortable with relinquishing some of that
Which is
control.
really hard to do, I have to
And
say.
I get it,
Yeah.
I'm the same. But making sure that those people that you are bringing into the business are people that you trust and you love, but you know how to manage them as well. So, and you don't always get that right. Sometimes it takes a few goes to get the right people around you too, and that's
Yeah.
okay. So, I've found that I am the most impactful with businesses where they're at that stage and they're needing almost like a partner in crime that's not
Yeah.
in their business but next to them, and helping support guiding those decisions moving forward for greater success, in the future.
Yeah,
So
love that. It's like the co-founder without having to have a co-founder you give equity to, but
yeah,
you've
yeah,
got someone.
absolutely, yeah.
I often say, yeah, just have someone to celebrate the wins and help you work your way out of any challenges when they come along can make such a difference.
Yeah, and I'm not shy in sort of putting the truth out there too, because
Yeah, good.
reality, if you have the reality in front of you, you can make much better decisions. But I also know that sometimes that reality needs to be communicated in a certain way, and but it's like, let's not be shy of the truth and the facts on what's going on, but let's just take it from there and make decisions to change it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love working in those spaces. I love seeing people succeed and thrive. And I get a real kick out of seeing, someone go from A to B. It really, floats my boat. So yeah, so
Yeah, I love
agents
that.
came first. Agents came first, and then I just had this tendency a few years ago that every time I started a business, I fell pregnant. Um, so
Okay.
I started Agents of Innovation, and then shortly
Well,
after
pregnant.
starting, I fell pregnant with our daughter, and then had Adelaide. And as I didn't actually take any mat leave, being self-employed and first time mum. I'm just
So
like, oh, I
hard.
can do it. I can do it. Yeah, no, I couldn't.
Yep.
So I took sort of this from when she was 6 months on to 1, I took that 6 months off. And as I was coming back from maternity leave, I thought, do you know what? I'm just a little bit out of practice. I felt I was a bit out of practice and thought, I'm just going to create a fake business, write the business plan, the marketing plan, do the research.
Okay.
I'll just do a t-shirt business that's nice and easy. It's easy product to follow. And so I did all that work, which that I love doing that stuff.
All the
I know for some
strategy
people
stuff.
they
Yep.
hate that, but for me, I love it. I love the research. I love the market research. I like doing the customer journeys and the branding and the so forth. So all those things I really enjoy doing. And so I did it for this t-shirt business. And the more I did it, the more I'm like, actually, this is a really great idea. If I can make the business model work in the way that I wanted to do and had the sustainability policies in there and the ethical practices that I wanted to bring in, if I can make all that work, why don't I launch it?
Nice.
So I did. I thought I'd studied art at university many, many years ago and started drawing again, and thought, well, do you know what? I'll launch High Teas for 6 months. All the learning I get from doing the launch, and like I'd never built a website before, for example, I did all of those myself. They will help inform my clients, the
Yeah.
agents of innovation. And so, yeah, did. And so High Teas is 6 years old in about a month's time. Of course, 3 weeks after launching.
Perfectly aligned with your second child.
Yeah, literally 3 weeks after I launched High
Oh my
Teas,
God.
I was pregnant again. Yeah, so I have said to my husband, no more business.
Whereas he's going, go on, have another business.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so that's how you launched High Teas. And why did you come up with the name High Teas? I'm always interested in that one because it isn't High Tea, Teas, just for anyone who's listening. High Teas. Where did that come from?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry, putting you on the spot.
Well, I used to live in Scotland, and in Scotland I was going to burlesque dancing classes, which I
Right.
really loved. It was so much fun. I did it with a few girlfriends of mine, and there was a burlesque night in Edinburgh called High Teas, as in TEASE.
Right.
And I always thought it was a fun play on words. And so when it came to High Teas, the name was the biggest thing I struggled with, actually. Everything else
Right.
sort of fell into place, and I just couldn't think of a name, and kind of landed on High Teas because it's this idea of the play on words, but also I draw iconic Australians, so it was this idea of High Teas, the high society. I don't know. I just sort of
I love it.
Fell into place, and then it stuck. So yeah, it's there.
Yeah, no, and it's great. It is such a good brand. Really, everyone should go and have a look at it. So talk to me now about the products and services that you offer across High Teas, but particularly you're starting something with Agent of Innovation that I think is really exciting. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think over the course of my time with Agents of Innovation, which is now 8 years old, there's a couple of big gaps in the market that I have noticed, particularly for the more micro to small business makers and artists, where they've got their product, they're maybe handcrafting them or producing them in some way. They're doing markets every weekend, or they might be in a few consignment shops here and there around Australia. They're still maybe managing a job on the side and all these sorts of things, but their business is sort of at a point where they're like, I really want to make this my full-time job, but I don't know how to go or where to go. And a lot of courses and a lot of resources that are out there are really helpful, but they're not very much targeted to how do you take macro into the next stage size business. So I am partnering. I've got a really exciting project coming up, which I'm very excited about. I'm partnering with a friend of mine, Kelly, who runs the Make It Collective in High Street, Northcote. She has had the Make It Collective for
Victoria,
about 7 years. Yeah.
Melbourne. Yep.
And she deals with a huge community of makers and artisans. And both of us have been talking about, there's just not any resource out there that is affordable and impactful for these size businesses. So we have created the Artisan Accelerator.
Oh my God, I
Um,
love the name.
yeah. And we are developing a range of events and workshops that are targeted to makers and artisans who want to create their artwork or their products as their main business by providing very strategic business skills to them to take their business to the next level. So our first workshop is coming up at the end of May.
Yep.
But at the moment, I also run my own workshops, which are for smaller groups. The Artisan Accelerator is for larger, full day workshop. As in, I also run smaller workshops for business founders who want to do things like understand profitability in their business, mapping out forecasting, customer journeys, things like that, to really
Right.
make some strategic decisions in their business.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, can you tell me, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but can you talk about a brand that you've worked with, maybe through Agents of Innovation, and just take me on a little story of where they were at the beginning and where they were at the end?
Oh, who could I talk about? Do you know what? Probably one story I find really fabulous, and you will know her because she was also my neighbor when I lived across the road from you, is Kylie, who runs Fit Well You.
Right.
Kylie is a exercise physiologist and personal trainer, and she was doing a little bit on the side here and there while she was doing a full-time job, and she's like, I really want to get back into this being my full-time job and building out a business for myself,
Right.
where I'm training clients. And over the course of the journey of her, starting just having a couple of clients a week, to where she's now, which has maybe taken 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
I have worked with her over the course of that on how to build that business. And I think I love working with Kylie. She's incredibly open to ideas and trying new things. And working with her on figuring out who's her target audience, how do you what are the potential income options for her, because obviously people come to her for a certain period of time, and
Yep.
then she's at capacity, in a week of well, I can only train this amount of people in a week, and therefore that's the capacity of what I can
Yeah,
earn.
limitedly. Yep.
And it's like, let's think of all the different ways that you can build out your business. It's been a really fabulous journey to be with her over the course of the last 3 years and to see her business grow. She now employs a few people. She's fully
Amazing.
booked as a
Yeah.
trainer, including myself. I'm one of her clients. And so is my husband. We go together. It's great. She's brilliant. She's the best trainer I've ever experienced.
Okay.
But being able to, really work with Kylie on what her strengths are and what does she bring to the business, and then what other factors does she need in her business to help it grow and to ultimately be as profitable as possible for her.
Yeah.
So, it becomes a financially sustainable business, where she still gets to do the things she loves, which is the client-facing thing,
And be paid for them.
and be paid for it, but also to be able to hand over a lot of the administration of her business, so it runs really smoothly and efficiently. So yeah, that's been a really lovely experience.
That's a great example, and I'm sure there are plenty of personal trainers that if they listen to this will be like, oh my God, I need to talk to this woman now. So all of a sudden you're going to be going from product and retail
Yeah.
into
Personal training. Yeah.
exercise. Love it.
I know it's not a
Okay.
product-based one, but it's a fun. It's one.
Yeah,
I
no,
really
it's a great story. It's a great story. And I mean, I can't emphasize how much that growth period is a danger period for small businesses, and a lot of people don't realize, because they're kind of like, I just want the income to increase, and it's like, but with that comes a whole lot of other things that you really need to think about.
Yeah.
Jess, you are absolutely amazing. If people wanted to, now you can offer a few different things. I suggest you don't put out phone numbers, but email addresses or websites for Agents of Innovation, for High Teas, and for your Artisans Accelerator, which sounds amazing.
Yeah, so if you want to get in touch with me, the easiest way is via email or
Right.
via Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot, so you can definitely DM me there. But hello at agents of innovation, all one word,
Yep.
.com.au is the quickest and easiest way to get in touch with me.
Right.
I've also got my website, which is agentsofinnovation.com.au. And you can check out High Teas at highteas.com.au, or also on Instagram at High Teas Australia. And then the Artisans Accelerator, we just launched our Instagram yesterday, so
Right.
which was great. So that is the Artisan Accelerator on Instagram, and the workshop that we're doing is on the 27th of May, and that's in Carlton in Melbourne. So all the information will be on the Instagram account. So
Fantastic. Yeah. And for High Teas, it's HIGHTWES, just for anyone who might be listening.
Yeah.
Jess,
And you can buy a whole lot of She's the Boss merchandise on there if you like.
yes, please do. Lots of really inspiring talks and things. Plus, my favorite saying, which is, be that woman who will mention another woman's name in a room full of opportunities. And we've got a T-shirt with that plastered across the front. But you have also got some other famous women, and one of my favorite ones, which I love wearing, is the one that says, not fragile like a flower, fragile like a bomb. God,
Yep.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an amazing woman. I mean, really, those nuggets just poured out of her, really, didn't they?
Oh,
Well,
inspiration she is, or was,
lovely,
I should say.
lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing the interview today. If anyone wants to find out more about She's the Boss Group, or She's the Boss, you can go to she'sthebossgroup.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, and this is actually going through LinkedIn as well as Facebook and YouTube, or join our Facebook She's the Boss Group, which I love and adore and is highly engaged. I also run a course called How to Become a Woman of Influence, and I coach people in how to raise their profile. And I have recently launched Australian Women Speakers. So watch this space. We're just working on the beta testing at the moment, but within the next couple of weeks, we'll have it up and running, and I'll be talking about it to everyone. But thank you again so much, Jess, and I hope you really enjoyed this show.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you in the hood very soon.
Yeah, you will.